Welcome back, listeners, to the T.R.O.N podcast, The Randomness of Nothing. Today, I have a very special guest today, and I got to tell you, her content is compelling, bubbly personality, all-around good person. Erica Wiederlight, CEO of Wiederlight. Thank you very much for joining me.
Oh, thank you. What a great intro. I love that.
Hey, we got to start off on a good note, because I don't want
We
you to be like that jerk after that, once the camera stops rolling. What a terrible host, what a waste of time. Right. How are you?
Gotta start with positive vibes. I'm good. I'm so
Always.
excited to chat. We have
Oh, well,
I
first of all,
before, yeah, we got so much good stuff to dive into.
I appreciate you. First of all, obviously, you do great work because you're a dating and sexual empowerment coach, and obviously, you help people who are feeling broken or inadequate. And you kind of I went to your website, and it's funny because people are kind of you talk about the things that people kind of shy away from, but privately, everybody really has those struggles or really want to talk to. And it's nice that you carved out this niche where people have a very good, comfortable place to have those conversations. So first, how'd you get in this field of work?
Well, I'm laughing because you hit the nail on the head that if I just am like, wow, if my high school self knew what I was doing, I would be so embarrassed. Like, ew, stop. No, not this. So it's like, yeah, exactly. Like having those very uncomfortable conversations. So I always
Right.
say I didn't choose this path. Meaning, of course, yes, I'm actively choosing this now, but I didn't actively seek out, I'm going to help people. It's how
Yeah.
it came to me was I was on my own path.
Yeah.
My background actually is, you're going to find this of no surprise, acting. I'm
Right.
very shy. I'm a wallflower, as you could tell. But I
Yeah.
was acting. And that was
Yeah.
that was in addition to, survival jobs. And for me, how I found this work was, again, a need for myself. I had one of those fall to your knees, come to Jesus years,
Yeah.
many times, but one that I really was like, oh man, I gotta help myself. And so this work was
Yeah.
just about helping myself, helping my mom, who was recently at that time diagnosed with cancer. And it was never in a million years did I think it'd be a career. I was I'm just trying to
Right.
survive. I'm just trying to, God willing, one day thrive. And
Correct. Sorry about
right,
your mother about that, by the way.
no, thank you. And I just made it, it's so funny. I didn't realize what I was doing, but it was I was accidentally starting coaching. And and then of
Right.
course I got trained and certified in this work, but I was having people over and being like, oh no, we're just chatting, or oh, I'm having groups where people
Yeah.
that's group coaching, that's coaching.
Yeah.
I'm no, I'm an actress. Stop. So
Yeah.
I was I don't want, but Cliff Notes is I was so passionate because I was like, wow, if I'm in the hardest time of my life at that time, and this work can help me, be a little
Cope.
bit more at
Right.
peace. Exactly. A cope, oh my
Right.
God, I'll do whatever it takes to give this to other people that I care about. So it started from,
For
honestly, a
sure.
place, it sounds corny, but of service.
Yes. Yeah. And I gotta ask though, is when you're going through your own trials and tribulations, did you seek help yourself, or did it just kind of help organically where you're talking amongst friends and then it kind of, I know you got trained and certified and everything like that,
Yeah.
but was there a gap where you sought out, and I don't want to get too personal, but
Yeah.
that you were like, okay, let me see what the best practices could be for me, excuse me, and then go
Yeah.
from there.
100%. That's been so I've done a ton of, right, certifications and courses and this, but I was I gotta walk my walk and talk my talk. And for me, that was,
Right.
whether it was through therapy or through coaching, I need support. And I don't know
Right.
about you, but I don't know. You could feel people when they read a book or whatever it is. They read a book or they listen to a podcast and they
Mhm.
regurgitate that information. And I was
Of course.
that doesn't that feels sticky in my body, So I was I gotta really do the work.
Authentic.
Yes, I'm not gonna be
Right.
okay, hello client, let's do this. I've never done it before, but good luck to you.
Fill in blank.
So
Right.
exactly. For me,
Right.
yeah, I really had to get that. It felt very important for me to get that support and to continue through my life to find support and community.
Wonderful. And so when I was looking it off, I was on your website. You're very authentic. You're very out there, and it seems like, first of all, the question I have is, when you're helping people, do you see a demographic difference? Is it more women than men? Is it older, younger? So, who seeks out your services?
I love that. Okay, so one of the certification routes I went through their big thing, as you know, in business, what's your audience? What's your audience? What's your audience?
Of course.
And folks were great. And I commend them. They were great at being like, I pretend work with women in their 40s. I work with this demographic. And I was like, look, down the line, I may want to do that, but I don't know. I just feel like everyone needs this. So I kind of am
Right.
the anti when they say like, who's your client avatar? I'm like, uh-oh, like
Yeah.
you're gonna hate my answer because
Right.
and there has been times and seasons where it was pretend women in their
For
40s
sure.
or men in their 20s. I'm making something up, right? But for
Right.
me,
Right.
I don't know. For me, I've always been passionate about. I'm like, everyone needs this work. Like we all
Right.
humans need this support.
Right.
So for me, I'm like, whoever kind of is attracted to the work, who's like, I can jam
Right.
with Erica, I'm like, okay, great, let's move forward.
Right.
So I've had clients that have been early 20s to 75-year-old women.
Right.
I
Right.
mean, across whoever's like, I feel called to
Wonderful.
this, I want support, is who I feel.
Right.
I'm like, please, let's do it then. Let's jump in.
That's really helpful. Particularly, obviously, the internet has democratized a lot of things where people can reach out and not just go, around the corner. And it's opened up people's options to be able to speak with people, and that's a beautiful thing. What I was curious about is that so. How did you know when you're meeting on the couch with your friends or you're jamming, so to speak, that you could turn this into a business? That was it people like tapping you on the shoulder, like you're really good at this, like no, you really need to turn the corner on this. This is what I needed, and I don't know why you're not taking this to the next level. Or was it kind of you on your own?
I think a little bit of both, but like
Okay.
they were like, "This is a coaching session," or "This is, this is," and I was like,
Yeah.
"No, no." And then again, I was just, if you will, like chasing these coaching certifications from a place of like, I know people are saying this, but I want to learn for myself. I want to learn for myself, and then
Right.
it became like,
Right.
so it was
Right.
a little bit of both, honestly.
Okay. Beautiful. Beautiful. And I
Yeah,
was just curious about that because, sometimes your friends, like, it can be sports, it can be acting, right? You're like, I don't know why, like, we're okay at this. You're really good at this and you need to
right.
turn the corner. So I don't know why you're sitting there jamming with us when you should be doing this for a living, so to speak, right? And it looks
Totally.
like right. So it looks like in 2013, that's when you transition, and you're also a podcast coach. You're also a podcast host, excuse me, as well too. So talk about your
Exactly.
podcast, please.
Oh, I love it. So for me, my podcast is called Welcome to the Weeder Life. Play on my last
Yeah.
name, Wiederlight.
Yeah.
So Welcome to the Weeder Life. And for me, it's like life. And some things
Right.
are very sexual empowerment focused. Some are sensuality. Some are pleasure. And some are just like
Mhm.
grief, happiness, rest. Like it's kind of encompasses
Mhm.
life and all the different
Right.
aspects through my voice, through my experience, and through my coaching.
Right. And so, and it looks like you've also been on college campuses. You do work galas, bachelorette
Yeah.
parties. You also help people with just burnout, self confidence, and all these other different things too. So, what stage do people come to you at in life? Like, I got divorced, I'm out of college, I'm having issues with my partner, or just like, is it a broad spectrum of things, or is it just like, I just need somebody to talk to?
Totally, everything. So it can
Okay.
be like SOS, like I am, waving the flag. Or some people, my favorite type of people are like, I'm gonna book this consultation, but like I don't really need this. Like everything's okay on paper. That's like I'm
Hmm.
like, yes, I love getting people at that phase because I've been there so many times being like, do I really need this? Like everything's okay on paper. Let me just do this free call with this crazy lady. You know what I mean? And then they're like, oh, like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, yes, like let's go in.
Yeah.
So every phase, and honestly, that's the beauty of it. I say to my clients, like, hey, you know the deal. I hold you when we're grieving, when we're in the depths of
Hmm.
despair, but I also hold you when
Hmm.
we're in the height of celebration of life. Like that's the
Right.
beauty of this is through all the peaks and valleys, this work is needed.
For sure. Obviously, you're in Florida right now. Do you
Yes.
get clients all across the country? Do you get people reach, like, where do people
Oh
find
yeah.
you at? Like, how big is your reach to people?
I would say all across the world. So I have
Fantastic.
clientele, like, which is so cool, so interesting. Yeah,
Hmm.
but I work with folks worldwide, which is amazing.
Touch lives across the globe. That's beautiful. That's what it's
Thank
all
you.
about. Like, what's the tip? How does the intro call work with Erica? Because obviously, like, you're high energy, and you may get that person that was like, I finally kind of had to reach out to somebody. I'm gonna kind of, for lack of a better term, like half blanket. But then you start picking up the energy. Like, do you get those people that were like kind of like dragged in there, so to speak, by their own inner conscious, and then finally, like, they're matching your energy level when they see it, so to speak.
Totally. And you know the deal, right? It's like if people are like, I'm this lady's 10 out of 10, like that's not my vibe. I match the vibes. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm not gonna make you
Yeah.
do cartwheel. Like though I, am naturally like caffeinated, like if you're like, I want to be more like I match the vibes. And
You can
I know
match.
you said,
Yeah.
yeah, I can match. Now I'm just so psyched. But I know, you said something about my burnout work too, right? Like my burnout, my this.
Right.
It's so funny. It's like what's so cool, why I love this work, such an assortment of reasons, but I have the ability to, and the beauty of this work is that I can kind of shapeshift. So if it's like,
Mhm.
hey, like I want to see someone's high energy or someone's really low energy, or I could take this work into corporate, or I could take this work into no filter, bachelorette
Right.
parties, like, or
For
everything's on the table. But corporate, we're not talking about corporate's more of the burnout conversation. And
right. For sure.
so that's what I love this work, because for me it's so fun to be like, okay, we know the bottom line, the root is the same. How do
Right.
we speak, or how do we
Right.
bring this information to different people, or where they're at, or which is awesome.
For sure, because obviously you have to inspire a large group of people to get towards a common goal, and it's no different than you acted, right? So obviously it's an
Yeah.
ensemble. You have to get everybody to get on the same page. Your personality didn't matter when we were doing the script reading. What matters is the quality of the production. The crowd wants to see a good performance. You have to put
Yes.
on a good performance for either TV, film, commercial, theater, etc. Everything has to get put to the side for the common goal to make something special happen. So,
Yeah.
and your client, more importantly, even you could be having a bad day, so to speak, but your client is coming to you with their respective either issues or highs or lows, and you have to be able to compartmentalize that to be able to give them a good experience.
It's so true. And that has been, honestly, I'm like laughing. I'm like, yes, because that has been so healing to, like, again, walk the walk and talk the talk. Because it's not about
Yeah.
being fake. It's not being me like, yeah, like I'm fine, going through a devastation, be
Yeah.
like, I'm fine now. But it has been a great practice of like,
Right.
all right, like, hey, Erica, you're going to serve this
Right.
person in 15 minutes.
Right.
We don't have to be fake. We don't have to be phony. We don't have to be love and light if we're feeling crunchy, but I do have to, it is my job to be in integrity, to reset my
Yes.
nervous system, to hold space, to not bring my
Right.
junk to the Zoom room. Like, and it's been very healing for me
For
as a
sure.
human to just like
Right.
learn how to navigate that regularly. It's become now a habit.
Right. And, at the end of the day, like, they're coming to you and, I say this respectfully, they're paying you for their services, right? So for your
Absolutely.
service, right? So if you're there, you're there, and you bringing anything baggage wise necessarily, I say that in quote, not directed at you, but it's
Yeah.
like, that's not helping them, right? Because then they're
You're like,
carrying
hello.
like I'm carrying my coach because, they're going through their, you know what I mean? They're like, wait a minute,
It's like,
who's sitting on the other end? Right, right. Like, wait a minute, how's this relationship working out? Maybe I'm coaching them, so to speak.
exactly.
So that's awesome. So I do like, so here's the question. So you're a top 50 in yoga, you're top 100 in marriage, you're top 100 in dating when it comes to your podcast, which is amazing. So how did your training take place when it came to getting these certifications, and how did you scale in podcasting? Two separate
I
questions.
love that. Oh, that's so good. Okay, so training is, I am just obsessed with learning, and I like have to slow
Yeah.
down. And I have over
Mhm.
the years, because it's like, okay, like go and teach now. But I just followed like the breadcrumbs of what lit me up. You know what I mean? And what
Right.
felt right. So this sounds silly, but okay, I'm taking this certification, and now I'm a sex, love, and relationship coach. Oh, I'm
Right.
learning my clients need to be more in their body. Great. Then I found
Right.
myself with more of like somatic teaching in the body. Great. Oh, you know
Mhm.
what? It makes sense to get my yoga certification, like just to learn more. Like, so they all kind of follow the breadcrumbs,
For sure.
type thing, and unraveled that way. And honestly, okay, so I've had some strategy with the podcast,
Mhm.
but for me, so I'm not going to say like, oh, it was, sure, there's some strategy there, of course. But for me,
Right.
me being my very vulnerable, sometimes it's like, okay, like you're in the room by yourself. It's like, okay, but people will be listening, Erica. So, but like
Right.
me
Right. Right.
being
Right. Right.
really authentically myself was a big, it's so silly and such like, stereotypical advice, but that really was what turned people on or really turned people off. But
For sure.
it was almost polarizing in a way, which I think for
Of
me to send
course.
this
Of
right,
course.
like like this is a no for me or this is a yes. But what's cool, and I'm
Right.
teaching myself this lesson now, is like I'm more authentic on my podcast than like my social media, if that makes sense. Like my
Right.
social media is
It
so
does
cool,
mix.
right?
Right.
But it's like that is always a lesson of like, no, like it's let really be yourself, and people will either be like, yes, tell me more, or love you, God
Yeah.
bless, not for me.
Well, I think that, one of the things that inspired me to do this is to talk to people like yourself because, ultimately people crave, real experiences and they crave authenticity. And I think in the crowded space of the internet, there's a lot of things that are tossed at us that, oh, I'm the guru, I'm the expert. And then you can go down the wormhole and then you'll hear somebody talk for like 20 minutes and they never actually talk about what they do. They keep talking in
Mm,
these very, very like, yeah, I'm the marketing guy, and then they're like, what do you sell? What are you actually selling to somebody? What are you trying to get people to
right.
sign up for? But they don't tell you what they're actually doing. So, it's really crazy, right? Or now
It
everybody's an
is.
influencer, right? Everybody's, a subject matter expert, so to speak. And so one of the reasons I did this is because I wanted to, kind of ultimately find out my own curiosity. I mean, I've talked to people from all across of the globe in various walks of life, and your energy, I have to match that now because I'm like,
Mm,
okay, this is kind of on the cuff, on the fly. So
yeah.
this is really good for me to get a chance to talk to you. So I want to thank you for that, first of all.
Thank you.
And then the other part is that when you talk about these uncomfortable topics with people that are kind of like the pearl clutching talks, like how does that take place? Because obviously, this is not a rated R show, so PG it up as much as you can, please.
Of course, I
Yeah,
will put my Disney voice, I'll put my
thank you.
Disney lens through, of
Appreciate.
course.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
It's funny, as outgoing and as like, whoa, like zany as I am actually an introvert. And
Hmm.
which is shocking, but an introvert, but also
Wow.
I don't like to ruffle feathers.
Hmm.
So, and I'm learning, right? Like sometimes you got to stand up for yourself. Like I'm learning those
Of
tough
course.
lessons, but it's easier for in the past, it's been easier for me to be agreeable and to swallow my tongue and be like, hee hee, like I just want a piece. Like
Yeah.
let's so for me, this has been an interesting lesson of like, no, like can I have a normal job? Like I don't want to be at a dinner party and like no, so it's been a lesson, honestly, for me
Yeah.
to be like, and again, right, you're in a room, you don't have to go full at, like you could whatever, match tone, match vibes, but
For
yeah,
sure.
it's been a
For
big
sure.
lesson for me to
Right.
to really be authentic in this and transparently, depending on the seasons. Some seasons when things are great, like I could be like, I could fully own this. And then
Right.
sometimes in seasons, like I'm getting through a season right now, or I just lost my father, like in a more griefy,
Terrible. Sorry to hear that.
thank you, griefy season, it doesn't feel authentic for me to be like net, like like it's a little different. It's like like, hey,
Right.
this is still the work, but
Right.
it's a different flavor, and how we're presenting it is different. So yeah, it's that's been a ride, to be honest. Like that has
Right.
been an
For sure.
interesting
For
ride.
sure. For sure. So you also help people that get through trauma as well too. What
Yes,
without getting specifics, obviously, because that's very personal for people. How do you help people get through that? Because one thing about trauma and loss is nobody's immune to it. And unfortunately, we've all lost
yeah,
people that are very close to us. And trauma can mean different things for different people. It could be an injury, it could be an illness, it could be suffering from a mental. How do you navigate those sensitive things with people that give you such personal
totally.
information?
I love that. Yeah, I mean, I think you nailed it. First and foremost is creating that safety, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is really quite important for me. And again, if I'm very transparent, like, hey, this is out of my scope, or for this, and some people are like, is it cool if I bring this part to my therapist and this to you? I'm like, please, like, we are working, like, we are a community, we're working together holistically, like, let's do it. So for me, I would say all the things come up, but a
Mm-hmm.
lot of my work is not only like you could say like more like talk therapy or processing, but also in the
Mm-hmm.
body. So I may do exercises like in the body, like a meaning like a visualization. So
Mm-hmm.
I had a client once who, and you wouldn't think, she's like, I wouldn't even think this is a trauma, but she was an older woman, and she found we just did a very light like meditation, and
Mm-hmm.
I was asking her body like different questions, and she was like, oh my god, Erica, like I just unlocked a memory when I think she was like 7 years old, and she was in her
Mm-hmm.
her 70s, and she's like, when I was like 7 years old, And I'm okay. Like I could hold this, but like no wonder I have confidence issues around my chest and my back. Like, oh my
Oh,
God, like we
really?
found the root.
Right.
Like
Right.
that's where we found it. So for me, it's, transparency of like, hey, like
Right.
let's, make sure that I am equipped enough to hold this first and
Right.
foremost. But for
Right.
me, right, because I'm not gonna be like, yeah, like let's make sure I'm
Yeah.
aligned. And
There's
then in
levels to
addition,
things at all. Right.
there's levels. There is levels.
Right.
And for me, I like if it is appropriate, if it's an appropriate match, I kind of hit it from different directions. Like I said, from the body, from the mind, we hit it from
Mhm.
different places, if that makes sense.
Right, right. It does because like sometimes it's no different than if you go from urgent care to the ER, right? They'll tell you, "Hey, we
Yeah,
can handle scrapes and burns and mild illnesses, but listen, if you're having a heart attack, this is not the place to be." Right, so to
wait,
speak. Right.
100%. Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like
No, that's
you
so
get
exactly.
right, and and I'm sure you've had those conversations with people like, listen, you need some real, and it's not in a negative way. I don't want to make
No,
light of
never.
anybody's condition, but it's like, listen, this is something very severe. You may need to
Yeah.
get continual high level treatment for this specific
Yes.
condition, as opposed to the trials of everyday life, so to speak. Right.
Absolutely. And that's what I say. I'm like, look, I would love to, but let's get you someone fabulous. That's maybe a trauma therapist, or like, let
Right.
me help you find resources that we could really, support you.
Right.
Maybe this is a conversation down the line. Maybe it's not.
Right. Right. And then if they get that taken care of, then once they get to a certain level, then your services are better offered for them in that particular scenario.
Absolutely. And I always say it's like, it's a holistic picture. Again, I
Mhm.
know I said this before, but people are like, can I see a therapist or can I see a so and so? I'm like, absolutely. Like, please, this is all interconnected. Let's
Right.
whatever you have capacity for, whatever you can do. That it's all
It's a
great
plus.
for me. It's a plus,
How do
absolutely.
how do people, because there's been this push in the last really like 5-10 years of like, hey, the mental is just as important as the physical. So how did you find people, because of the more acceptance, broader based of it, felt more comfortable now seeking out services than they did in the past when you first started? Because now, it used to be
Yeah.
like therapist or coach used to be a dirty word, right? Now it's just
Right.
become part of the everyday lexicon, so to speak.
It's no, it's so true. I think about it, I'm like, wow, I've been in this game kind of for a while now, and seeing the arc
Right.
has been honestly fascinating. And
Right.
for me, what's been most interesting is back in the day, it still was more, like, ooh, people were like, oh, I'm interested. Oh, it's kind of like, can I tell you a secret? And now I have
Right.
work
Right.
at corporate offices. They're like, come on in, let's talk about mental health. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
So that has
Right.
been very
Right.
interesting it used to feel very, like, oh, like behind closed doors. And now again,
Of
to
course.
be an executive coach for, companies and for corporate that's been
Right.
I mean, thank God, but that's been fascinating how it's been
Right.
normalized.
Yeah, before they tell the person to shut up, that's not in our budget. Before this, now
Right.
it's like, hey, we really need to focus on this because I'm not equipped to handle these kind of questions from my staff, so to speak, right?
Totally.
For sure. And that's a beautiful thing. And so I always ask everybody, and I ask my guests this because I'm not smart enough to do what you do. How do
Oh,
people
sure.
find you? Where are you at? Like, where's your services offered? And it's not just, you're not just a coach, you're not just a podcaster, you're also help people reach their light and help people, brighten their burden, so to speak. So where do people find Eric?
Oh, you're the best. So for me, as we talked about in the beginning, right? I'm like, I
Yeah.
really truly believe this work is for everyone. And that doesn't mean
Right.
everyone is for me, but I mean
Right.
everyone should have this accessibility. Everyone should have this knowledge. And whether it's like, I
Right.
like this, not through Erica, great. I have people to recommend you to. You know what I mean? Like, I want
Of
this to
course.
be
Of course. Of
accessible.
course.
And like we're talking about, right? Like normalized. That's
Right.
thank God mental health is becoming more normalized. I would love to continue the conversation even more of making this
Of
work
course.
normalized. And that's pleasure, even pleasure of feeling good in your body, all of that. So with that being said,
Right.
I love free resources because I want people to
Mhm.
have a spot where they could say a jumping point and say, cool, like this is where I want to go. So for me, I love free goodies. I love free resources. I actually have a free ebook. What do I have? I have all the things. I have a free ebook. I have the podcast and I have a blog.
Yeah.
And all of that is
Right.
on my website, which is wethelight.org. And
Right.
you could go in, right? It's like, great, I never have to talk to this woman, but I could read her ebook, get the information, integrate it. Great. Like perfect.
Right.
Or
Right.
if people are like, I would like a little more. I don't know how, like maybe she could give me recommendations for people. I don't know if I want to invest. I know I do want to invest, whatever. I
Right.
also, like I talked earlier, I do offer free consultations. And for
Right.
me, those are literally a coaching session. So it's great.
Right.
Like, I'm like, why not? It's literally a 60-minute coaching session. We talk about
Mhm.
if it jams, we talk about, working together. Or if you're like, actually, I'm looking for someone, fill in the blank. Or actually, I'm looking for fill in the blank. Great. Let me recommend, let me recommend you to someone else. And that's
Right.
also on my website too, WeTheLight.org. So I like to think of myself as a hub. I'm like, I'm here. Like what, like I
Right.
have, options come to me, and I'm happy if you want to work with me. Thank God. If you're like, I would like to be outsourced to someone else, let me help you. Or I'm looking for a free thing. I'm looking for this. Great. Come
Right.
to me. I have plenty of resources. I'd love to, whether it's with me or redirect you. It would be my honor. That's when I really get down to the mission of my why and serving people. I'm like,
Mhm.
let's do it. That's that hub. So yeah, that's where you can find me, WeTheLight.org.
Well, I think it's very important also sometimes for a business, or you're your own business, even though you're Erica, to sit back and say that it's okay for you not to work with me, right? And so
Yes,
it's,
totally.
and I think that's a big thing, because knowing when to I have a funnel, and if we don't fit inside this funnel, that's okay. And sometimes
Yeah.
it's just like me hosting this podcast. I'm not for everybody. Like, and so
Right.
getting that in your mind sometimes can be kind of hard, because then it starts to feel like either rejection, or, to your point with you teach, inadequacy. And then you're like, well, that's okay. My podcast isn't for everybody that wants to be on here. I've got good guests,
Yeah.
and I'll have to live in my lane, respectively, so to speak.
I love it. And you know what? It also, for me, it's like you said, we're here for the mission.
Hmm.
Right. So it's like, whether it's through me or someone else. And I love how you brought about the inadequacy piece. No, it's just, we might not be a fit, but this work is still
Exactly.
for you. Right. Like, of course,
Exactly.
you're allowed to have mental health. You're allowed to thrive. That doesn't mean it has
Right.
to be through me. And you right.
It
And as a
does.
business owner,
Exactly.
it's right. It's been a fabulous lesson for me about like scarcity, that I don't have to be like,
Yes.
oh, I'm going to take everyone. It's like, oh no, like, no, like,
Exactly.
I want to
Exactly.
really serve these folks. Like, we're doing deeply, as you know, deeply,
Right.
deeply personal stuff. They need to
Right.
feel safe. I need to feel safe. That is so out of integrity if I'm just like, yeah, it's fine. Come on in. Like, no, like they need
Absolutely.
to go with someone that they can breathe and feel safe with. You
Unquestionably.
know the deal. Yeah,
Of
it's
course.
been a beautiful lesson.
Right. And so, and that's kudos to you, because obviously there was no really manual or hands or script, so to speak. You had to kind of figure that out on your own. Say, okay, well, that's just one that's just, better off for someone else's services that can provide that tailor made for your specific needs. So,
Yeah.
I got to tell you, this has been, I wish I didn't have, a time constraint to talk to you, because I know that there's
I know.
obviously a limited window of how long we can talk. So, anything else you want to add before we, have to unfortunately depart each other's company?
I love this. This was such a great convo. Yeah, I'll make a total left turn, but I think this is important because it's important to my work. But again, I guess the thing that I want to say is this work is for everyone. And what that
Hmm.
means is you're allowed to have, rich mental health, and you're allowed
Hmm.
to have pleasure. And what I mean by pleasure is can simply be really sitting at that cafe, or really sitting in that place and enjoying the jazz music, or being with a loved
Right.
one and enjoying a laugh, whatever it may be, right? But um
Right.
we're all allowed to have that. And so
Mhm.
how I would, my mission is to help people feel safe to have that more and more and more in their life, have that goodness, right? Because the tough stuff still comes. Like that, so we're not
Right.
putting
For sure.
the tough stuff is still, excuse me, is still going to
For
come.
sure.
So my
Right.
parting message is, if you can, I invite everyone to just like start to think about, like, how can I invite more goodness in, even through
Right.
trials and tribulations, even through, and it's not a place of saying, all is well, I'm going to wipe away my problems. No way. No way.
Right.
But even through sticky times and hard times and crunchy times, how can I nourish myself? And how can
Absolutely.
I just fight for half an inch, a little bit more
Right.
joy? And not from a place of bypassing, not from a place of avoiding, but how can I find a little bit more peace and a little bit more joy in my life, because we all deserve that ultimately.
And the fact that you're, guiding people towards that through all stages of life, whether it's through partners, relationships, trauma, work related, right? And for positive things like celebratory of getting a wedding, a
Yeah.
party where
Yeah.
people can be their true selves. Right? Everybody works hard, and all they want is a little bit of joy in their lives, and it goes a long way. It'll definitely, impact you, because you only got one life on this earth.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, this has been a blast. I appreciate the PG language on the Prawn podcast because I'm sure, and I say that respectfully because I'm sure there's some things you've said on other ones that you haven't said on here. So
Oh yes, yes, I was
and
good. I was good.
yeah, yeah, and I can tell you're fighting it. I can see it fighting. You know what I mean? I can see you fighting it. So I appreciate that. I got to tell you, Erica. So I'll be checking out your site, and I hope that you had an enjoyable experience on this show.
The best. Thank you so much. Seriously.
Appreciate you. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.